In the hushed world of whispered confessions and measured empathy, Maya Hart navigates her days as a beacon of clarity for those lost in emotional storms. Her life, a meticulously woven tapestry of professional grace and hidden yearnings. Yet beneath the calm facade, a forbidden pull tugs at her resolve, whispering of truths she dares not voice, threatening to shatter the fragile balance she clings to. The weight of unspoken love presses heavier with each passing session, as she steels herself for another day of guiding others toward light, while her own shadows deepen, and the camera glides through the counseling center's sun-dappled corridors. The camera glides through the counseling center's sun-dappled corridors, a muted palette of soft grays and warm neutrals, casting an air of serene competence. Maya Hart moves with practiced grace, nodding to a colleague in the hallway, her smile a perfect curve of empathy, settling into her office chair for a session, voice steady as she guides a client through tangled grief. It's okay to feel unmoored. Let's map the edges together. Close up on her hands, folding a client's tissue with gentle precision, exuding that warm confidence that has built her reputation. She laughs lightly at a shared anecdote, the sound light and reassuring, as if the world bends to her composed touch. Cut to her filing notes, the stack neat, her posture impeccable, every gesture a testament to the life she's curated, where vulnerability is a tool for others, never herself. Outside, the urban hum filters in, distant traffic, the chatter of a progressive city that prizes discretion above all. Maya pauses at her desk, glancing at a framed photo of Elias, his arm around her at a quiet dinner, eyes full of that devoted steadiness. She touches the frame briefly, a flicker of warmth in her expression, but her fingers linger a beat too long, as if testing the solidity of the image. The montage quickens. A quick hug with Riley in the break room, Riley's brow furrowing slightly at Maya's evasive joke about just another long day. Then Maya waving goodbye to the team, stepping into the evening light with poise, unbroken. Fade to her apartment, the space intimate and shadowed, soft lighting pooling on a wooden desk. The door clicks shut, and the warmth ebbs. Maya exhales, shoulders dropping as she sinks into the chair. Her hand reaches for the velvet journal, deep burgundy, its cover worn smooth from secret handling, a hidden softness amid the room's stark lines. She opens it slowly, pages whispering like a confession deferred. The pen hovers, then scratches. Today, I smiled through it all, but her laugh in the workshop echoed in my chest long after. What if one glance unravels everything? The words warm at first, a tentative glow of unspoken pull toward Camilla's open energy. But the lines tighten, ink pressing harder. Elias asked if I was okay tonight. His trust is a weight I can't shift. Hiding this, it's cracking me open from the inside. She pauses, staring at the page, the velvet under her fingers a tactile anchor to the turmoil bubbling beneath. The camera lingers on her face, eyes distant, the confident facade fracturing into quiet anxiety, breath shallow as the question hangs unspoken. Will confession shatter the image she's built, or will the silence do it first? She closes the journal, but not before one last line escapes. I can't keep postponing this truth. The light dims, leaving her silhouette in contemplative shadow. Later, in the quiet of an interview room, the camera lingers on Maya Hart's face in the dimly lit interview room. Soft light filtering through half-drawn blinds like a hesitant dawn. She's poised in a simple chair, hands folded neatly in her lap, her counselor's smile practiced and serene. The interviewer, off-screen, asks about her daily routine, the one she curates so meticulously at the Progressive Counseling Center. It's all about balance, Maya begins, her voice steady, almost melodic, helping clients unpack their truths while keeping my own world contained. You know, the sessions, the workshops. I thrive on that structure. It feels safe. She pauses, glancing at the velvet journal tucked beside her on the table, its deep, crimson cover worn at the edges, a silent companion she fingers absent-mindedly. Inside, pages whisper of nights spent tracing forbidden thoughts, but here, under the lens, it remains closed. The interviewer probes deeper, the paradox of composure amid inner chaos. Maya's gaze flickers, a subtle crack in the facade. Outwardly, yes, composed, respected. But there's this undercurrent. She trails off, her fingers tightening on the journal's spine. The air thickens. The camera catches the faint tremor in her breath. Lately, it's like carrying a secret rhythm that doesn't match the beat, a connection that's pulling at me, unspoken, from someone I can't, let in. It's exhilarating and terrifying. What if admitting it unravels everything? The trust of my partner, my best friend Riley, who sees right through my deflections, but doesn't know how deep this goes. Riley's name hangs there, a mirror reflecting Maya's evasion. Those coffee chats, where Riley's practical honesty bounces off Maya's humor, like light on water, sensing the distance without naming it. Maya's composure frays. Her eyes dart to the journal again, as if it holds the words she can't voice. Anxiety coils in her posture now, shoulders hunching slightly, the calm facade giving way to a quiet storm. Honesty is what we preach, emotional wholeness. But mine, it's divided, hiding this longing, this pull toward her. It feels like betrayal, to Elias, to myself, and if it spills out, the center, my reputation, gone. But keeping it in, does that destroy me slower? The question lingers, unanswered, as the light shifts, casting shadows across her face. The journal sits untouched, its secrets veiled, while Maya's eyes search the empty space beyond the camera, wondering if confession could heal without shattering the world she knows. A few days later, during a routine workshop, the conference room hummed with the low murmur of voices, fluorescent lights casting a sterile glow over rows of folding chairs. Maya Hart sat in the back row, notebook balanced on her knee, her posture impeccable, a counselor's armor. The workshop on building empathetic boundaries was meant to sharpen their edges, but Maya felt her own fraying at the seams. Not staring, observing, she rationalized. The way Camilla's fingers tapped rhythmically on her arm. The subtle tilt of her head during questions. Harmless. But when Camilla turned slightly to answer a point, their eyes met again. This time, the pause stretched. Two gazes locking in the muted light filtering through half-drawn blinds. It wasn't a glance. It was a pull, electric and unspoken, warming the air between them like a secret shared in silence. Maya's heart stuttered. Wary caution cracked, giving way to a molten anxiety that pooled in her stomach, hot and insistent. She shifted in her seat, cheeks flushing under the cool room temperature. Don't react. But she couldn't hide it. The way her pulse quickened, the notebook slipping slightly in her grip. Desires like this didn't just vanish. They simmered, waiting. Camilla's lips curved faintly, as if she sensed it too, before she turned back to the front. The moment broke, but the tremor lingered in Maya's core, shaking the foundations of her carefully curated world. What did it mean? That office gaze lingering too close, blurring lines she swore she'd never cross. In the days that followed, as their collaboration deepened. The counseling center's back office hummed with the low whir of a projector, casting muted shadows across stacks of case files. Maya sat at the small table, her fingers tracing the edges of a shared worksheet on client empathy exercises. Across from her, Camila leaned in, her dark hair falling like a curtain as she pointed to a highlighted section. "Here," Camila said, voice steady, professional. "We could frame it as bridging emotional gaps, without crossing lines." Maya nodded, her pen hovering. The air felt thicker than usual, charged with the scent of Camilla's faint citrus lotion. They were prepping for the workshop tomorrow, just two colleagues mapping out scripts. But as Camilla's hand brushed Maya's to adjust the paper, fingers lingering a beat too long, something uncoiled in Maya's chest. A spark, unbidden, racing up her arm. She pulled back slightly, forcing a neutral smile. "Yeah, that works. Keeps it contained." Their chairs, those two worn armchairs pulled close for collaboration, now sat inches apart, knees nearly brushing under the table. Maya shifted, aware of the fabric whispering against her skin, the way the space between them pulsed like a held breath. Professional distance, that's what the center preached, what her life demanded. Yet here, in this quiet room, with its soft afternoon light filtering through half-drawn blinds, the boundary blurred. Camila glanced up, eyes meeting Maya's without retreat. No jokes to deflect, no quick laugh to shatter the moment. Just that steady gaze, warm and searching, pulling Maya in. "You're good at this," Camila murmured, her foot, accidentally or not, nudging Maya's under the table. The contact sent a jolt through Maya, heat blooming low in her stomach. She should move away, redirect to the notes. Instead, her hand trembled as she reached for the same page, fingertips grazing Camilla's knuckles again. This time, neither pulled back. The worksheet blurred before Maya's eyes. What was this project anymore? A scaffold for words about vulnerability, while her own heart hammered against the ribs of secrecy. Camilla's thumb brushed the back of her hand, a silent gesture that spoke volumes. Curiosity, invitation, the same turmoil Maya buried in her journal at night. Tension coiled tighter, then softened into something intimate, their breaths sinking in the narrowing space. As they leaned closer to mark the final section, chairs scraping faintly together, Maya wondered if this charged routine could hold, if the work's fragile structure wouldn't crack under the weight of what simmered beneath. As the tension from their collaboration lingered into the hallway, the fluorescent hum of the counseling center's hallway buzzed like a distant swarm, but Maya barely registered it. She was mid-stride, folders tucked under her arm, her mind a locked vault, replaying the workshop's lingering warmth. Camilla's laugh, the accidental brush of fingers over shared notes. Routine was her armor. Nod to the receptionist, check the schedule, breathe. "Riley?" Maya's voice caught as her best friend materialized from the lounge doorway. Arms crossed, eyes sharp, like she'd been waiting. "We need to talk, now." Riley's tone sliced through the air, no preamble. She grabbed Maya's elbow, steering her toward the empty conference room. The door clicked shut, sealing them in with the faint scent of stale coffee and polished wood. Maya's pulse quickened, tension coiling in her chest. "What's this about?" "I'm swamped." "You've been swamped for weeks, Maya. Ghosting texts, dodging coffee runs. You're here, but you're not." Riley paced, her practical sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. "I'm your friend, not some client you can session plan around." "What's eating you?" "Spill." The words landed like accusations, each one prying at the edges of Maya's facade. She leaned against the glass partition separating the room from the hallway, seeking coolness against her back. Her reflection stared back, eyes shadowed, lips pressed thin, a woman divided. Beyond the glass, blurred figures moved in the center's bustle, oblivious. "It's nothing," Maya started, voice steady, but her throat tight. "Work's intense. You know how it is. Boundaries blur. Deflection, not denial, but Riley's gaze pinned her, demanding more. The kind of honesty they'd always traded like currency. "Bullshit." Riley stepped closer, voice dropping to that raw edge of hurt. "You're pulling away. From me. From everything. If it's Elias, say it. If it's the job breaking you, talk to me. We don't do secrets." The pressure built, a vice around Maya's ribs. Secrets. The word echoed Camila's unspoken glances, the velvet journal hidden in her drawer. Honesty with Riley had always been easy, until now, when truth would shatter the trust, mirroring back at her from the glass. She wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap, but the fear rooted her. One crack, and it all spilled. Guilt twisted sharper than the tension, a slow burn spreading through her core. How could she explain the ache without naming it? Riley's face softened, just a fraction, waiting, and Maya felt the weight of that faith like a stone. I'm trying," she whispered finally, the admission half-formed, heavy with what she couldn't say. The reflection fractured slightly in the light shift, a distorted self, pleading silently. How to shield this without losing her? Riley exhaled, searching her eyes. The silence stretched, unanswered. That evening, seeking normalcy, the soft clink of silverware against porcelain filled the dimly lit dining room, where Elias had set the table with their wedding china. Simple, unassuming, a ritual of normalcy. Maya speared a forkful of roasted chicken, the meat tender and familiar, and smiled as Elias recounted his day at the office, something about a delayed report and a colleague's misplaced files. "You know how it is," he said, his voice steady, eyes crinkling at the corners in that way that always grounded her. "Or used to." She nodded, murmuring agreement, but her mind splintered like fractured glass. Camila's laugh echoed in her head, bright, unfiltered, from yesterday's workshop, when their hands brushed over a shared notepad, lingering just a second too long. The memory coiled tight in her chest, warm and treacherous, pulling her gaze to the window where city lights blurred into the night. How could she sit here, fork in hand, while that pull gnawed at her edges? Elias paused, knife hovering over his plate. The blade caught the pendant light overhead, gleaming sharp and unforgiving, a mirror to the secret she polished daily. "Maya, you okay? You seem distant tonight." Her pulse quickened, the calm facade cracking under his quiet scrutiny. "Just tired from the center." She lied smoothly, actor's poise intact, though her throat tightened. Thoughts of Camila flooded back, her dark eyes, the way she'd leaned in during their last session, voice low with unspoken questions. Betrayal seeped in, not in words, but in the hollow ache. This life with Elias, safe and scripted, versus the raw hunger she hid like a bruise. She forced a laugh, light as air, but it tasted bitter on her tongue. He reached across the table, his hand warm on hers, fingers tracing the ring she'd worn for years. "Talk to me. We've got this, right?" His touch was earnest, a anchor she both craved and resented. The utensils gleamed accusingly as she withdrew her hand to sip her wine, the liquid burning like unspoken confessions. Anxiety twisted deeper, a storm behind her composed eyes. How much longer could she straddle these worlds? one foot in the warmth of here, the other slipping toward the unknown. The weight of the evening carried into the night, leading Maya back to solitude in her apartment, which hummed with the quiet of late evening, the city lights filtering through half-drawn blinds like hesitant confessions. She sank into the worn armchair, the velvet journal cradled in her lap, its deep crimson cover soft against her fingertips, a secret skin she rarely pierced. Her pen hovered, trembling, over the blank page. The words clawed at her throat. Camila, the way her laugh pulls at me, unbidden, in the sterile glow of the counseling center. Forbidden, wrong, but fear coiled tighter, exposure, ruin, Elias's trusting eyes shattering. Could she even commit this to ink without the world crumbling? Her hand moved, finally, scratching out the truth in jagged script. I ache for her, not just glances, but the pull that makes my composure fracture. What if she feels it too? No. Stop. It's betrayal. Tension knotted her chest. Breath shallow. The room closing in. She slammed the journal shut, heart pounding. But the words lingered, alive now, demanding more. A knock, soft, insistent. Camila stood in the doorway, rain-dampened coat slung over her arm, eyes shadowed with the same unrest Maya knew too well. I couldn't sleep, Camila said, voice raw. That workshop today, your hand on my shoulder, lingering. It wasn't nothing, was it? Maya froze, journal clutched like a shield. The conflict surged. Hide it, deflect, preserve the facade, but the velvet's texture burned under her palm, urging release. Sit, she whispered, gesturing to the couch. Tension peaked as she opened the journal, words spilling haltingly. I've been writing about you, about this pull. It's tearing me apart. Elias, my life, everything I built. I thought if I just confessed here, to the page, it would stay buried. Camila leaned closer, her gaze devouring the scrawled lines. Relief flickered in Maya's veins, warm and unsteady, as Camila's hand covered hers. It's not just you, she admitted, voice cracking. I've been tormenting myself too. Every meeting, every shared silence, it's fire under my skin. I tell myself it's the job, the rules. But God, Maya, it's real, mutual, and it scares me as much as it frees me. The air shifted, lighter yet laced with doubt. What now? Elias's face haunted the edges. Riley's concern a distant echo. Maya traced the journal's edge, the softness mocking her resolve. Was this ink-deep truth enough? Or just the prelude to voices aloud, lives upended? The question hung, unanswered, in the dim light. The undercurrents from that confession soon rippled into Elias's awareness as the dim glow of the living room lamp cast long shadows across the walls, where the family portrait hung like a sentinel. Elias's arm draped protectively over Maya's shoulder, their smiles frozen in a moment from 2 summers ago, before the quiet fractures began. Maya sat on the edge of the couch, her fingers tracing the seam of a throw pillow, eyes fixed on the coffee table, as if it held the answers she couldn't voice. Dinner had been silent, the clink of forks louder than words, and now Elias paced, his usual steady gait edged with impatience. You're not here, he said finally, stopping in front of her. His voice was low, not accusing yet, but laced with the hurt of someone piecing together a puzzle he didn't want to solve. Not tonight, not for weeks. What's going on, Maya? At work? With us? She felt the detachment like a veil, cool and insulating, keeping her thoughts on Camila's lingering glance from that afternoon's workshop. Those 2 chairs in the office, inches apart, charged with unspoken possibility. But here, in this room, the veil thinned. Maya's chest tightened, a slow uncoiling from numbness to something sharper, more insistent. Anxiety prickled at her skin, hot and unwelcome. "It's just the program," she started, her words measured, empathetic as always in her counselor voice. But she couldn't say it was fine. The lie stuck in her throat like glass. Instead, she glanced up, meeting his eyes, dark with confusion, searching for the woman in the portrait who promised stability. "The new hires, the workshops. It's pulling me in every direction." Elias knelt beside her, his hand hovering near hers before dropping away. "That's not it. I see you drifting, like you're holding back a storm. If it's us, if I've done something, tell me. Or is there someone else making you pull away?" The question hung heavy, his gaze flicking to the portrait, as if invoking that idealized version of them could summon the truth. Maya's breath caught, the anxiety surging now, tense and electric, threading through her veins. Guilt bloomed alongside it, vivid as the velvet journal hidden in her drawer, its pages whispering confessions she hadn't dared speak. The center's reputation trembled in her mind. Whispers among colleagues about her distracted sessions, Riley's probing texts unread. How long could she shore up the illusion when trust eroded right here, in the heart of their home? The portrait stared back, unchanging, a relic of the life she was unraveling thread by thread. The growing fractures pushed Maya toward a breaking point, and in the quiet of the counseling room the next afternoon, the counseling room felt smaller than usual, its walls a soft beige that blurred into the late afternoon haze filtering through the blinds. Maya sat in one of the two armchairs, the ones that always seemed to invite secrets, and faced the empty space opposite her. No client today, just her. The light filter on the window caught her eye first, a thin veil of translucent fabric, diffusing the sun into a warm, uneven glow that danced across the floor like hesitant truths. It had been dim earlier, casting long shadows over her journal's pages, but now it sharpened, pulling her focus inward. Her hands trembled as she clasped them in her lap, the velvet cover of her journal pressed against her thigh like a talisman. "Okay," she whispered to the empty chair, her voice cracking under the weight of years unspoken. Tension coiled in her chest, a vice tightening with every breath. Elias's trusting smile from breakfast that morning, Camila's lingering glance during yesterday's workshop, the progressive facade of this center that prized discretion above all. What if the words shattered it all? Her career, the endorsements, the fragile web of relationships she'd woven to keep the shame at bay. The risk pulsed like a second heartbeat. Exposure meant ruin, meant losing the respect she'd clawed for in this watchful urban maze. But hiding behind smiles, no more. The lie she'd told herself, that silence preserved integrity, crumbled under the light's insistent clarity. She leaned forward, elbows on knees, eyes locked on the void, as if it held a mirror. "I love her," she said aloud, the admission raw, tasting of salt and freedom. Camila's laugh echoing in shared sessions, the electric brush of hands over case files, the pull that had upended her safe life with Elias. Guilt flooded in, hot and unrelenting. Betrayal to the man who deserved better, to Riley's unwavering faith, but beneath it, a spark ignited. Not shame, resolve. Maya stood, pacing the room, the light filter casting her shadow in fractured patterns that reformed as she moved. She could see it, calling Elias tonight, words unadorned, no deflections. Then Camila, face to face, risking the professional line they'd towed so carefully. The tension peaked, a storm in her veins, but it bent toward something firmer, determination, like the sun breaking through. She accepted it. The longing wasn't a flaw to bury. It was her truth, demanding air. Honesty wasn't destruction. It was the only path to wholeness. As she gathered her things, the question hung unspoken in the warming light. Could she voice this chaos and still hold herself together? The door clicked open, and she stepped out, ready to find out. In the climax that followed, Maya confronted Elias and Camila directly, giving space for reactions, before reflecting in a final interview where the camera lingers on Maya Hart's face in the dimly lit interview room, her eyes steady but shadowed, the soft hum of the city filtering through the window like a distant judgment. The light filter above casts a gentle haze, diffusing the overhead glow into something warmer, almost forgiving, as if the room itself is exhaling with her. She sits forward, hands clasped on the table, no longer the polished counselor, but a woman unspooling her truth, the weight of it pressing against her chest like an anchor. "I've lived 2 lives," she begins, her voice low and raw, cracking just enough to betray the tremor beneath. One in the light, where I counsel others on honesty, on facing the mess inside without apology, and the other, hidden, a constant ache of wanting what I couldn't name. Loving Camila, it wasn't a choice I made lightly. It was a pull, undeniable, that clashed with everything I'd built with Elias, with my career, with the eyes always watching in this city. Her breath hitches, the responsibility heavy, a boulder she carries for Riley's trust, Elias's quiet devotion, the colleagues who might now whisper behind closed doors. She risks it all here, endorsements slipping away, the progressive center's doors closing, the social circles tightening like a noose. The pain of that double life, it's suffocating. Pretending with Elias while my heart raced at Camila's glance, deflecting Riley's concern with smiles that felt like lies. I thought hiding it preserved integrity, protected everyone, but it hollowed me out, left me fractured. The light shifts subtly, the filter blooming a faint gold across her features, illuminating the lines of exhaustion softening into resolve. Relief creeps in, tentative, as words flow freer, admitting the shame, the forbidden thrill, the terror of exposure. Now, speaking this aloud, it's terrifying, but it's air. Hope lies in honest connections, rebuilt on vulnerability, not perfection. Elias deserves truth, Camila a real chance, Riley my full self. Wholeness isn't hiding. It's this. She pauses, gaze drifting to the window, where the city pulses indifferently. The filter's glow holds her, a quiet promise. Can this public unraveling mend what's broken, or will it shatter the remnants? The question hangs, unanswered, in the softening light.